Hello everyone, Fuzzfinger here and welcome to another Planet Coaster video. So today we're going to be building a replica of Caernarfon Castle, which you can see the real Caernarfon Castle in this background photo here. I thought this would be an interesting project to undertake because it will show how the tools, the building tools, actually work in Planet Coaster. And as I've been building this, I've noticed that the tools themselves are in fact very powerful, and since there is a castle tool set available already in this stage of the alpha, I thought it would be a good idea to do a replica of a castle. But there are also some limitations as well, which I'll explain as we come across them as we move on ahead. So this series is going to be split over a couple of episodes, but I'll make sure to upload them all together. That's not because I'm trying to be awkward or anything by splitting it, it's just because the raw video files as I'm recording are so large that I'm having to stop every 4 or 5 hours just to edit them all together and then delete them so that I can move on to the next part of the recordings. So the first episode we're going to build the main entrance to the castle and a couple of the first towers as well. For those that don't know, Caernarfon Castle is located in North Wales, and I don't actually live in Wales myself, but we used to go on a holiday to North Wales a lot when I was younger, when I was growing up. So I've got a lot of fond memories of coming to the castles in North Wales with my family, which is why I thought, seeing as how we've got a castle tile set in Planet Coaster, and this is only the early alpha, but we do have the castle tile set, I thought it'd be a nice idea to really see what we can do with it. And I haven't seen anyone else, at least nothing that I've seen, it could be that I've just missed something, but I haven't seen anybody else do a replica of Caernarfon Castle yet with these tools, so I thought I'd be the first maybe to give it a go. So the Planet Coaster tools are actually, they're very good, but there are some limitations which can cause some hiccups and do cause some hiccups as I go through this building. For instance, there's nothing in the way of steps at the minute, at least nothing that I've seen. So I'm having to improvise a bit by using these roofing tiles to create this kind of entrance stairway, which is good that we have the ability to be flexible with the pieces that are available to us, but it does create perhaps a slightly more rigid look over the original, which has a more, I guess, natural curvy style to it. But to be honest, it's nothing really major, and as you can see I'm just trying to play about a little bit with some of the other pieces to see how we can get them all together, and I just decided to stick with the pieces from the sandstone set because it does blend in the best with the castle, even though we do get a more rectangular design overall. So I didn't realise when I actually started this project how ambitious it was actually going to be. I thought, you know, it might take 2 or 3 hours and I'd have something resembling the castle, but actually this first video, even though it's only about 15 minutes for you to watch because I've sped it up, the original recording time was about 4 to 5, probably about 5 hours at least, and this is only the first part of the castle. So it's definitely been far more ambitious than I expected, and I've definitely taken on a newfound respect, I would say, for the original architects and builders of days old, because you know, it's taken a lot of effort just to build this replica here in Planet Coaster. So obviously it would have taken much more effort to build the thing in real life, especially when you consider the lack of modern day tools that would have been available to them at the time. And if you get to visit these kinds of places and you see how well built they are, I mean, they were built, Caernarfon Castle was built around 800 years ago, and you know, it's still standing strong. Of course it's not in the condition that it once was, but it's been bombarded so many times through battles and whatnot, but these things were built to last, and they're really a testament to our history, I would say. So hopefully I'll do it some justice at least as I crack on with this replication, this building of Caernarfon Castle. So this particular entrance that we're building here is one of 2 entrances that are available to the castle, and this is, I believe, called the King's entrance. There's also the Queen's entrance, which is on one of the other sides, which we'll get to a little bit later, but this is the King's entrance, and I believe it's the main entrance to the castle that's used today. It's accessible right into the town of Caernarfon, And the town itself is also surrounded by castle walls, which were built as a defensive aid. I probably won't be getting around to build those, simply because, well, for starters, I just wouldn't have the map space available in Planet Coaster to really do them justice, but also because my main focus is the castle, so that's what I'm really going to be pushing ahead with. Some of the limitations that are in place for us are probably, first of all, in the way of windows. And I should say before I go any further actually that this isn't going to be to scale. I probably could have gone and checked out some measurements and some heights and stuff of the real castle and see how they translate into Planet Coaster, but to be honest, I just don't have the time to do that, so I've really done all this by eye. And it is supposed to be recognisable for those that know Caernarfon Castle as Caernarfon Castle, but if you're going to measure it and try and see how accurate it isn't going to be all that accurate, unfortunately. I just didn't have the time, really, or the skills to go into that much detail. So some of the limitations I was talking about, first of all, are the actual pieces, of course, that are available to us. There's probably no suitable windows, unfortunately, that really match up with what the castle actually has, and in fact some of these iron scaffolding posts are some of the closest I could get to some of the windows, to looking like some of the dark windows that are available or that are present on the real castle. And of course if you zoom in you're going to see the scaffolding, especially as you go around the other side, so I am careful to put them only into places where the structure is going to hide them, and where you can see those posts sticking out there, we are going to be building around them so that they do hopefully not lose the realism. So ultimately they are not going to be windows, but when you're looking at it, especially from more of a distance, it should be more reminiscent of the actual castle itself. And you can also see I'm building a path here. I would like this castle to be somewhat functional. It would be great to see the peeps in the game walking around and exploring the heights of the towers and whatnot. I mean, I probably there is no spiral staircases or anything which would take them up the towers, but we should be able to get some pathing at least around some parts of the castle to make things interesting. So I will just be pathing as we go ahead with the builds here. It does take me quite a bit of time to build this entrance. I was looking at pictures and doing the best I could to just match things up to how the actual entrance looked, and I will say it's not perfect, but I do want to try and think of it as a theme park recreation. You know, it's not going to be the exact castle, it is just a representation of it. And some of these pieces are quite intricate as well. One of the things I would like to see Frontier do is make it so that, and this is a little bit of the technical aspects of the game I guess, but make it so that you can select multiple what are classed as buildings and merge them together into one building. And because a lot of these individual pieces I've had to build actually as separate buildings so that I can really get full control over how I rotate them and put them into position, etc. And then it would be nice then when I want to duplicate certain walls or whatever to save time, that it would also duplicate even individual pieces that are currently set as their own building. At the moment I can't do that, and it's actually vastly increased the amount of time I think it's taken to build this section of the castle, and probably the future sections as well as we move on with those. So it would be nice if we could have something done about that. It would be a quality of life change more than anything else. The actual castle would probably still look the same afterwards. It would have just taken a lot less time to build it and to get it into that place. So the roofing area up on the top here is a mess, and I'm hoping to go back later on. I haven't done this bit yet, but I am hoping to go back later on in order to clean this up a little bit. But this just shows, I think, some of the limitations with the current game tools. It was really, really fiddly and tricky to just try and fill in some of these spaces. And it's okay, once again, if you zoom back and you're looking at it, but when you're right in there, in the action, in the detail, you can really see a lot of those imperfections. And I've just got to decide how much it's worth going back afterwards to dedicate a lot of time to just tidying that up just a little bit, because it probably won't get great results, but it will take a good bit of well, quite a few hours to really get on top of it all, so I'll just have to weigh that up and see whether it's worth it or not. But right now I do just want to get the actual castle structure itself completed, so that's what I'm going to be focusing on. Also some extra fine wall details I won't be probably adding on until towards the end, so if things are looking a little bit bland at the moment, or if you're looking at pictures of the real castle and thinking that I've missed some stuff out, it's very possible that I might have missed stuff out, but it's also possible that I'm just not bothering to add those kinds of details on until later on when the main structure's complete. So this is really just trying to do the bare bones at the minute, and some of these roofing tiles are definitely the most fiddly to work with, especially trying to get the right heights and what have you, and there's just no real way to fill in all of these gaps. It's great that we don't have a grid anymore with Planet Coaster. I do love that feature, but it does just mean that you are going to end up with things not quite matching up as you would want them to do, or expect them to do so. So now I'm once again going to be trying to figure out how I can use these roofing tiles to create a kind of staircase. There is a set of steps on this section of the tower. I don't think they're usable. If you look at the real image of those steps, they're basically just rubble steps. They're certainly closed off to the public, so I'm not going to be putting a path down these or anything, but I do just want to try and create some kind of impression that there are some steps there. And even though they look a little bit rough, I'm actually not too concerned about that, because as I say, the actual steps themselves are a little bit rough, and in fact, because this is an 800-year-old castle, it also gives us a little bit of leeway in how much we decide to touch things up. It's okay having things out of place a little bit and not quite lined up, because it does actually create that impression of age, and ultimately we want to be careful not to move away from that too much when we're building these kinds of structures and these kind of very old castles and what have you. So one of the interesting and if not slightly frustrating aspects of Caernarfon Castle, when at least in the context of building it in Planet Coaster, is, and I didn't realise this until I actually started building, most Edwardian castles have the round towers, and they would have been great to build because there's some good round tower options in Planet Coaster that can be used. But Caernarfon Castle is one of the exceptions, and the towers in Caernarfon Castle are more polygon shaped with straight edges, which meant that each tower that I build is going to have to be have quite a bit of time invested in it, because it's going to require multiple walls rather than just slapping together two of the round walls that are available. So I'm a little bit disappointed with King Edward about that. He didn't really think that one through when he commissioned this castle to be built. Okay, he probably didn't expect in 800 years time that Planet Coaster would be here and we would all be copying the real life buildings that we see around us, but still, lack of foresight there. So the general structure is that in between each of the towers, and there's no tower here on the entrance, but on the next sections there will be, that in between each of the tower sections there is a wall that connects everything together, fortifying the defences. And on the real Caernarfon Castle it is possible to walk along these walls and through each of the towers, and I really wanted to get that into the game. So I do end up bringing the path, and you can see I've just done so, bring the path up through the side of the castle and bring it all the way around, so that we will be able to get some good screenshots of the people walking around and through the castle, which should look pretty awesome once it's all done. And right here you can see that we're just beginning to build the first tower. So the way the towers are structured is they're quite wide and reach about the height that the entrance also reaches. And then you usually have one or multiple smaller, sorry, less wide towers, but taller towers erupting from the top of them, as you can see here. And it is quite a magnificent sight to behold, in real life at least. So I do actually end up readjusting this, because I decide that the tower that's coming out the top is a little bit wider than it really should be. But for now you can get the general idea of the look that I'm going for, I think. And sometimes it is easy just to create some structures on the ground away from your main structure, and then you can just duplicate the pieces. But once again, it would be nice if we could basically duplicate the whole of that mini structure, but it's not possible because it had to be built as separate buildings. Each building that you make, you are limited to the amount of angles and whatnot that you can move pieces into, and what positions they can take, and if you don't like the angle, you do have to create a separate structure in order to build onto it. So I expect all this to be refined and new features implemented as the Planet Coaster Alpha does in fact move ahead. So we're once again going to be using our black scaffolding bars to just add a little bit of detail to these walls here. And I think we do just need to place some extra support down the bottom, so we'll just put that in there, which you can see. And I think that's looking pretty good, to be honest. I mean, I can't take all the credit for this. The Planet Coaster team have done a wonderful job in giving us the tools that they've given us. And the details are immense, they really are, especially if you zoom in on some of these features and some of these walls. You can really see even all the imperfections and the dirt and the grime and the detail. It really is magnificent, so a big kudos and shout out to the Planet Coaster development team over at Frontier. It's interesting because this is almost like a game in a game. Obviously Planet Coaster is a theme park simulation, yet I've just spent so many hours just building this one structure and I haven't even thought about adding any rides. So it's all very fun and very interesting. And we're just going ahead here building the second tower, and once again this will have the taller but more narrow tower protruding from it. So I'm just going to do my best at copying and duplicating the first one that we built, although once again it is going to have to be duplicated in multiple parts. But we're just getting roughly to the end of this first episode now, so I'll make sure to get the next part uploaded as soon as possible. I'm not sure how many parts this is going to be. It might just be 2 parts, though it could end up being 3. I don't know at this point, but I will make sure to post a link in either the annotations or the description to each of the parts that I put out. If you want to see more of this kind of content from me, then please let me know in the comments section, or if you want to support me, go ahead and sign up on the FuzzfingerGaming forums. I pretty much always read those and check those out, so if you want to leave me any feedback, that's a good place to do it. I'll leave a link to those in the video description as well. And don't forget to go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and that will also notify you when I put more content out as well. So until next time, thank you for joining me, and we'll pick up in episode 2 where we continue to build Caernarfon Castle. Until then, take care, bye for now.